Alright, we're here for round 2 after a little nap from me, which is why I probably look pretty sleepy, but we have been having some issues with having all of our colors in our opening hand. Maybe this deck needs more fetches, but I am going to keep this. We do have 2 kind of interactive spells, certainly Mana Leak, although on the draw this can be a little slow. We also have a Soulfire Grandmaster and a Painful Truths. So if we do draw a 3rd land, we'll have something to do. And then if we draw a fetch land, we have all these lightning bolts. So while we are short a color and it's an important one, I think we're alright. But now we drew Steam Vents, so that should be good. It's also kind of cool that we could have Leak on 2, and then turn 3, if we drew a red, we could have gone Soulfire Bolt, but now we just have the red right away, so perfect. What's my opponent doing over here? Hase? Hello, Hase. You must die. You must die a horrible death. Get out. Get out! I've played with Jace. Jace is great. You should not let it live. Bad things will likely happen to you. Oh no, my Painful Truths. Oh no. My poor, poor Painful Truths. Hardly knew you. So I guess with my opponent playing a Godless Shrine untapped, kind of curious to see what they're doing. Might be another Jace, I guess. If that's the case, maybe they actually go after my Lightning Bolt and we get to cast Painful Truths, but no, they take my Grandmaster. Jeez. Whoa. Whoa. Settle down, opponent. You are out of control. So maybe they just have a Mana Leak. Yep. That's smart. So now we can trade leaks here, and then they can Inquisition my Painful Truce, which is not great for me. Spell Snare. It's kind of the same thing. Alright. Well, Snapcaster's pretty tight. Especially since my opponent doesn't know about that one. So if they go like Dragon Lord Ojutai or something, we can Snap Leak it. But I think ideally we get to snap this Painful Truths. I do feel like my opponent has a counterspell of some sort. And my opponent also has a Steam Vents, so I have no idea what's going on. Okay, that's pretty cool. Maybe now we just go snap Lightning Bolt. I was going to target his face, but that's a reasonable target. Just need to get a clock on. And I have a lot of bolts and a lot of Snapcasters. Yep. Not too surprising. Now if we draw a non-colorless land, we might get to draw a bunch of cards. So I'm kind of excited. Yeah, it's not bad either. So we can get back our Snapcaster, try and get their last card. We haven't drawn any fetches. We have all our colors, which is pretty cool. And, ooh, Grave Titan, get out. My opponent's deck has a little Spice Ball. I wonder what the Steam Vents is for. I guess I wonder what the white mana is for, too. Maybe they could be Prairie Stream, wow. Maybe they could be Grixis Splashing Lingering Souls, I don't know. So blue, white, black. So we take 5 for this Painful Truths. Now we're going to have land drops for days. I'm totally cool with that. And what are we doing here? Just getting a mountain, I suppose. Sweet, sweet. Now we have a bunch of counter spells. I like it. Got him on the ropes. On the ropes. It's possible. Draw 2, then discard 2. I could just snare this. It's pretty clear that they're kind of in desperation mode here. I was thinking maybe I should tech edge something, but I felt like with all my counter spells, I kind of wanted all my mana open. Yeah, I'll just snare it. That's it? Alright. Well, I like counter spells, I like Lingering Souls. And Timely can certainly go, and we have Supreme Verdict to deal with stuff like Grave Titan. Celestial Purge kind of does the same thing too, although the zombies are sort of hard to clear up. And then if our opponent does have Lingering Souls, we'll have a Static Caster. Same deal with Supreme Verdict. So I think I like boarding in all this stuff and just taking out like some Helixes. Maybe Path is worse than Helix. I do want to make sure I have enough answers to Jace Vritten's Prodigy. So yeah, maybe the Purge is not worth it. Ugh. Even if I cut these Helixes, I guess I'm supposed to cut Soulfire maybe? Just all of them, and then have 2 Helix. This looks pretty good to me. Worth noting that post-board, it is very clear that the white cards are not really worth it in this matchup. Just being something like a Grixis deck is likely going to be better, except for Lingering Souls. So if you are worried about control mirrors with your other nonsense control decks, maybe you should not be playing white. Well, unfortunately, can't keep this one. But our opponent mulliganed as well. And we have a bunch of Spell Snares and Bolts, so we are very well insulated against Jace. And we want this Dispel. I think we kind of do, but also kind of don't. So it's tough. Like, with our opponent having Mana Leak and things like Izzet Charm, granted we kind of have Izzet Charm and Mana Leak covered with Spell Snare, I feel like at some point we're going to want to draw a Painful Truce and force it through. But I feel like we just need to get to the point where we actually have threats like Painful Truce first. So I do want to bottom that, I think. It is not a lock. Definitely not a lock. I think it is worth talking about. And hopefully we'll be underway here shortly. Well, we could play Colonnade or we can play Strand into Spell Snare. Not sure what I'm playing around here. Some of these decks siding Bitter Blossoms. I guess that's a pretty good reason to keep them in Spell Snare. Because if my opponent played a Bitter Blossom, I'd probably just be dead. Could obviously like find Supreme Verdict and then burn my opponent out, or maybe draw my Staticaster at some point, but Thougtsies. Enjoy. A bunch of nonsense. Not cracking quite yet, because I could draw a red source and then want to find a black source, so I think I'd rather just keep the fetch open. Especially now having Cryptic Command also. So Tech Edge obviously doesn't play too well with Painful Truths. Especially now when I'm trying to set up Painful Truths plus Counterspell, Tech Edge is just kind of hanging out. So I kind of want to just play Lingering Souls, but if I do that, I would kind of want to fetch a black source also, so I could potentially flash it back next turn. I'm just going to pass for now. I don't really like it. I'm kind of worried about my opponent playing a Jace, but if they had a Jace, maybe I would have played it. I don't know. Could just be holding open, like Mana Leak or whatever. I'm kind of okay on this Drago game, though. Well, now we're both at 7 cards. Do I just discard my souls? I don't think that's that bad. And then fetch Watery Grave. Duress. Going to negate that because he could always just take my negate and this removes my opponent's options. A lot of discard in my opponent's deck. So my opponent Mana Leaks this. I think I'm just going to counter it. And then if they play Jace, I'm not going to have red for Lightning Bolt. So it's kind of worrisome. But we're both pretty mana screwed. I would like to get a clock. And my opponent just has the full range of discard spells. It's pretty impressive. Well, there's the Jace. We shall see if this Jace does anything. I think I'm just going to Cryptic to bounce it for a turn, make him replay it. And then I'm more likely to be able to Painful Truths into another Lightning Bolt here. You're so close, Staticaster. So close. Yet so far away. So far away. Shields down. Do your worst. Be more worried if my opponent had a little bit more than just a bunch of discard spells. Now we have a bunch of creature lands too lined up. Also, like, just tech edge our opponent if they play another land. So our opponent at this point is pretty far behind. We've already played like an Ancestral. We're up 2 land drops on them. They're trying to fight through our hand when we just have multiple copies of everything. I am kind of curious as to what's going on in my opponent's deck, though. Little wild. Got some wild action going on. It's certainly worth noting how much Tectonic Edge has just kind of hung out and not really been used to cast any of my spells. I was certainly a little wary of colorless lands when I built this deck, but I felt like we could do with some land destruction in the mana base. I mean, certainly seems like something that a type of deck like this would actually want, just because things like Tron and probably Eldrazi seem like pretty bad matchups. It's one of those things where it doesn't really solve your problem, though. So how much is it really worth it? I don't know. So I could just Bolt Jace. And then Painful Truths again for 5 because I have to play the Shockland untapped. Which is just silly. Or I could Bolt Jace, fire up Shambling Vent, and just like take the counter wall down for a turn, but I think I like Bolt Jace, cast Truths, keep open counter mana. And this is, of course, Bolt Jace, attack other Jace. Well, white is probably not going to help me cast the best Painful Truths I could possibly cast, so probably not tap like that. No. Did it again. Alright. 8 life points. Snapcaster Mage is a nice pickup. And that's it. Okay, our opponent was stuck on lands for a while, and that's pretty important in the control mirror. I don't know how many control mirrors y'all have played, but that's kind of what determines how things go, and that's pretty much why. Just like you end up casting your spells, your opponent just kind of sits there and has like 5 to 7 cards in their hand at any given point, and they just never really get to play Magic. So that's it.